Have you ever been ghosted by a client? Well, this is for you. Now, this is part 2, so I need you to go back to part 1, check that out, because now I want to get into it. I got a question on YouTube on my channel, the Sales Influence channel, and the question came back, Victor, I offer a certain service. How do I avoid people ghosting me within this service? And it's a good question to ask, but the bigger question to ask is, how did the lead, this is important, how did the lead arrive? Was it an inbound? Was it an outbound? Inbound, they found you. Outbound, you prospected them and reached out to them. 2 different scenarios, 2 types of questioning systems, 2 types of models. So let's go with the inbound. They contacted you. Now, one of the first questions I'm going to ask to qualify them is, how much research have you done on this service? So for example, let's say somebody contacts me and said, Victor, I'm interested in your sales training. Great. I always say, how much research have you done in the sales training space? And they're going to say, I've done this much research. And hopefully they've done a lot of research, right? And I'll say, why now? Like, what's your sense of urgency? Why now? Why is now a good time to do this? Why not last month? Why not last year? Now, this gives me basically some type of, understanding of what triggered them, because I need to understand the trigger event. What motivated them to want to contact me? First, I found out how much research have they done. They've done a lot of research, let's say. 2, what motivated you to contact me? Why now? Now, it could have been one major event, they lost a big sale, or it could have been a bunch of small events. In other words, they've been losing sales over a long period of time. Somebody finds that that's enough, we need to contact somebody, we need to find somebody to do sales training. Got it. And then, why me? Right? So, why now? Why me? And they're going to say, well, Victor, because we've done research, we saw what you have online, so forth and so on. Now, all I'm doing is getting information in terms of qualifying them to see if they really understand what I have to offer, and I'm qualifying them to understand, are they really serious about buying from me? Because if they've done a lot of research and there's a sense of urgency, big trigger events, right, then I know they're ready to buy from me, right? They're in the mode to buy. Now, I move into our presentation. We have a discussion. 4 things I need to know. I like to follow the BANT model. Budget, authority, need, timing. I always get this. Victor, the BANT model is so 1980s. No. Old school is still good school if it works. And I'm telling you, the BANT model works. So I always want to know, what's your budget? Tell me what you've allocated in terms of funding for this training. This gives me an idea of how much they want to invest. Number 2, authority. Who makes the decision? Besides yourself, Mr. Client, who else is involved in making this decision? Is it just you or not? Now, this is an important question to avoid ghosting, because if you're talking to only one of the many decision makers, what's going to happen, you're going to depend on that person to go back and repeat the information to the other people. That's never a good strategy. If you find out there's more than one person involved, then the immediate question becomes is, can we get that person online? Let's say we're doing a virtual conference here, and can we get them online so we can get on the same page? Or can we set up another meeting where we can have all the decision makers in one room, so I don't have to depend on you. You don't say this to the client, but I don't have to depend on you, rather, to actually explain what we're going to talk about. Number 3, in the BANT model, need. Tell me about the need. And again, they've already told you that they've had problems in the past. They told you about their triggers, right? What triggered them to call you? So tell me about your need, and what you're looking for is a sense of urgency. Well, how important is this? Like, how important is this to you? Or is this one of many priorities that you have? The last one, T, timing. When do you plan on doing this training? Good question. When do you plan on doing this training? The reason I love that question is because even if they ghosted me, I'll at least know when the window runs out. So for example, Victor, we need to do this by the end of the month. Let's say that's the window. Boom, in my head, I got a marker. It's a sense of urgency. They need to do it by the end of the month. In other words, it's highly urgent, right? If they said, well, we're looking at doing this over the next 6 months, sometime over the next 6 months. Well, that word right there, sometime, is already a problem. And then over the next 6 months means there's no urgency there. So you're going to get off the call. You're going to have all this information. And let's say they went with the sometime in the next 6 months. Well, the chances of you getting ghosted are highly likely. Why? Because there's no sense of urgency on their part. Now, if they said within the next 30 days, if not sooner, we need to make a decision, great. I have just pre-qualified somebody who really needs what I have to offer. And now what I'm going to try to do in that conversation is to try to close that conversation and advance the sale. What do I mean by that? I'm going to try to get a date for us to meet. I'm going to send a proposal, whatever it may be. I want to get some type of meeting date on the calendar. Are the chances of them ghosting me still high? Probably. But if I've had the right conversation, let me just say it this way, if I've had the right value conversation with them, the chance of the ghosting go down. in many cases, the reason we're ghosted is simply that you didn't offer a lot of value during that conversation. So keep the BANT model in mind, but also keep in mind that you have to combine that with a conversation that's full of value that makes them go, I really want to work with this person. Anyway, that's it. I'll be doing part 3, which is outbound, your prospecting, and why clients ghost you when you're prospecting. On that note, this is Victor Antonio, always reminding you, selenate hard when you know how. Take care.